Hey everyone, welcome into the Flippin' Hippos YouTube channel. I'm Star. If you're new here or you haven't already, please consider subscribing and helping us feed a hungry hippo. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Today is September 4th. It's a Wednesday, which means it's time for midweek motivation. So this week, instead of coming on camera, I'm just going to screen share a recording of myself working behind the scenes. And you guys get to watch me create my listings over here on List Perfectly while I chat with you. I want to talk about the importance of having a bank or extra listings or extra photographs with you guys. Sometimes when I say I have a bank, people don't understand what I mean, and that's okay. We all learn things as we go along as resellers. Having a bank just means having extra, and that can look like three things, okay? You can have extra photographs of items that are just that. They're just items you photographed, but the pictures are done, and now you can build the listings, but you're just holding on to them as a bank, as an extra. You can also have drafts. So these are listings that are all the way built and ready to go, but they're not live yet. You can build your drafts right on eBay. I personally don't recommend that. I hear a lot of horror stories from other resellers that drafts can disappear on eBay. I don't trust them. I've had them disappear some of my stuff before. So I use List Perfectly. But if you don't have List Perfectly, I still think it's important to have a bank. So do them on eBay. Just watch them. But you can have drafts already built and ready to go. And the third thing is to have scheduled listings. So you can take the draft and make it quote unquote live, but it's not live yet. If anyone needs help with how to schedule your listings on eBay, I'd be more than happy to do a follow-up video with a screen share showing how to do it. If you need some help with that, that's fine. But eBay will let you schedule yourself out up to 21 days. So you can get yourself a week, 2 weeks, or even 3 weeks ahead. You can have listings coming live every day without you being there to do it. It's amazing. I love it. It's a great backup method for when life happens. So yes, those are the three types of banks that you can have. You can just have extra photos, extra drafts, or your scheduled listings. Now, I like all of those three ways, and I use all three. We have extra of everything. That can sound really overwhelming to someone who's starting with no bank. If you have no extras of anything, if everything you photograph every day, you list every day and it's live, me telling you, oh, all these banks and all these extras, I know can sound really overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Do you guys remember the old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's really easy to build yourself up with just a little bit of planning and pushing yourself. I'm going to use the number 10 because it's easy to use. We're going to say that you consistently list 10 items a day. If you list less or more, just enter whatever number that you're consistently doing here. I'm going to use 10. But you're comfortably, consistently, without any struggle, listing 10 items a day. Can you do 12? Can you at least do the photos of 12? So can you take photographs of 12 items, do your 10 listings and push them live, hold back the photographs of the other 2? Can you do that? If you do that for a whole work week, you've got 10 extra items photographed at the end of that work week. By the end of that month, you've got 40 extra items photographed just by adding 2 a day. And you're only adding photographs at first. You're still listing your 10 that you're consistently comfortable with listing. You're just taking photographs of 2 extra items. And if you're doing batch work like I've always taught you to do, 2 extras really isn't that many. If you're doing 10 pairs of shoes, what's 2 more? If you're doing 10 pairs of jeans, what's 2 more? If you're doing 10 bracelets, what's 2 more, right? And at the end of the month, you've got 40 items photographed, put away in your awesome inventory system you took my advice on and created, and you have 40 extra things that you can list, right? So now if life happens and you don't have time to take photographs, they're at least done and you can make listings. But let's take it one step further. You get comfortable with that. Now you're photographing 12 items, making 10 listings. Can we add 2 listings a day? So now think, you've got the 40 extra items photographed. You're still going to take your 12 items, the photos of your 12 items each day, but now you're going to build 12 listings and only do your 10 live that you've always done. The backup of the 40 items that you photographed is still there. At the end of this week, you're going to have 10 extra listings already built, and you're still consistently listing your 10 each day. At the end of another month, you now have 40 extra items photographed and 40 extra listings. Then you start adding 2 a day on a schedule. So when you photograph your 12 items, build your 12 listings, put 10 live, and take 2 and schedule them out for tomorrow. And then that way, the next day, you're only having to push 8. And then you can schedule 2 more for the next day. And so on and so forth. You see how this builds up so easily with just adding 2 a day. Can you add 5 a day? Can you add 10 a day? Like, you get to a point where you're so comfortable and you can consistently do something. Just keep adding a little bit each day and it will add up. And I also would like to add that eventually you'll have such a large bank of extra items photographed and extra listings built, and you're scheduled out for 21 days, that each day when you're working, you're just kind of replacing what you're using. It really makes life so much simpler. And then if something happens and you have to use your banks, you can just replace them because you already know how to replace them. You already started from 0 bank and built yourself up to a place of success just by adding 2 a day. It's that simple. It just keeps adding up. And then when life happens and things that are out of your control demand your attention, you won't feel overwhelmed. You won't feel unmotivated. You won't feel like you got so far behind and, oh my gosh, I'll never catch up. That's why I really wanted to talk about this with you guys on a midweek motivation video, because when things happen, when life happens to us and we get behind, it is very easy to feel discouraged. It is very easy to get unmotivated. If you're sick for a week or you're dealing with life for a week, something happens to somebody in your family, God forbid, for 2 weeks, you come back and you're like, oh my gosh, it's just a hot mess. This will keep that from happening because you have these control systems in place and you can stay motivated. Hey, stuff is still being listed because I scheduled listings. Stuff's still going live while I'm over here dealing with this. Or I know when I get home, I can just push some out real quick because I have some ready to go. Because life does happen. I've said that like so many times, but it bears repeating because we cannot beat ourselves up for when life happens, because it is just things that are out of our control. And that's just it. There's nothing you can do. It's out of your control. If you're sitting around watching Netflix or doom scrolling on the social media, clearly you have a problem and you need to get yourself into a position where you're being more productive. But when things out of our control happen, there's nothing you can do. And we all know a happy store is an active store. So if you're not active on your store for multiple days in a row, it can be very detrimental. So the reason I like having the banks, number one, if you're scheduled and you get sick or you get a flat tire or your kid gets sick or your dog needs to go to the vet, you know that your listings are going live. So you're not working, but you still have listings coming up live. You're keeping your store active. If you're not to the point where you have them scheduled, that's okay too. But when you're back from being sick, it'll be very easy to get caught up. And I wanted to bring this up because last Wednesday I didn't do a motivational video because I was dying of the zombie death flu. And Keith and I actually came down on Friday night. We just started feeling awful. And we laid in bed all weekend and just took it easy and tried to get rest, thinking, well, maybe we'll be better by Monday. And we weren't, and we still lost 3 days of work. But on Thursday, it didn't take us long to get caught up. It really took, I think just Thursday and part of Friday morning for us to quote unquote get caught up. So at that point, because I had been down for 5 days, the scheduled listings on eBay were only scheduled out 16 days, right? Because I normally get on it each morning and push listings live from my List Perfectly catalog out to that 21st day, that farthest that eBay lets you schedule. So I had to quickly do those, but I already had like 100 listings built in my List Perfectly catalog to use. So I would just select them and push them on eBay and schedule them. So I didn't have to take photos. I didn't have to even build listings. I literally went in the drafts that were already created and scheduled them. So now that part was caught up. Now I've used a bunch of my drafts. Well, let's go into all these pictures that we already took and rebuild the drafts. So we built that back up, and then we took a bunch of extra photos. But in reality, we weren't behind. So we say we were behind because I like to stay 21 days out scheduled, and I like to have these huge banks around. But we really weren't behind, because that whole time that we were sick, our listings were going live. And we still had our drafts, and we still had our banks. So it took very little time to get caught up. But during the time that we were sick, we were still active. Our eBay never knew that we were sick. It never knew that we were dying of zombie death flu, because we had active listings coming out each day. Now, our Poshmark and Macari did know. They felt it. They felt the hit. But fortunately for those platforms, I think they recover more quickly. Obviously, any selling platform is going to be happiest when you're active every day and you're listing every day. However, I do feel like if you come back from an absence and you do a bunch of listing on Macari and a bunch of listing on Poshmark, I feel like the results are almost instantaneous. You'll just start seeing likes. You can start sending out offers, and you'll start making sales almost immediately. eBay, I can tell you this from years past, when we would take vacations or go somewhere and not have scheduled listings. It takes about a week, I think, for eBay to really, I feel like your results show up a week later on eBay. So if you're not listing a lot or listing very little, and then you suddenly go on a spurt and you list a whole bunch, I feel like it takes a week or so to see the results. But I just wanted to let everyone know, I was sick for 5 days, but my eBay didn't know it because I was prepared for life in general. I had no idea that I was going to get sick, but we learned our lesson over the last couple of years when we moved, and when his grandfather got sick, and when our car broke down, and just things out of our control kept happening. And you guys know I do suffer from a lot of health issues that sometimes keep me from working a full work week or even a full work day. So over time, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, it is out of your control, but sometimes it's like just so much. I mean, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. There was a time last October for like 3 weeks, every single week, at least 2 days of the week, something was happening, something was going on. And I'm like, hello, life, could you stop? The beautiful part is, though, we are self-employed. We are our own bosses. This is our business. So we still had a job at the end of it. But y'all remember when you used to have like actual jobs that we went to? It didn't matter what was going on in your life. You had to go to work. And if you didn't, you lost your job. At least we have that flexibility. But at the end of that was when I said, okay, we're going to get serious here. And that was like what we focused on during Q4 in the very first part of 2024. We took tons of extra photos. We built tons of extra drafts, and we started scheduling out on eBay, and we got that all squared away. And that was like the first thing we did before we went up to our goal of having 5,000 active listings. Actually, our goal was 4,000 active listings on eBay. And then List Perfectly came out with this listing assistant, and it was just too easy not to grow up to 5,000. But I just wanted to motivate you guys. And this is how you can stay motivated. So if things are happening in your life, whether it's health related or just life errands, stuff happening out of your control, you can stay motivated if you have all of these things in place, because there's still listings going live today, right now, while I'm dealing with this. Or, I can go home and quickly push those drafts out or quickly create drafts out of the extra pictures, and I won't get so far behind. This can help you stay motivated when life is handing you lemons. You've got that lemonade on hand all ready to go, right? I'm not going to get behind. I'm going to be okay. And when I come back from this, I have extras. And then you just rebuild the bank up. I'm going to tell you, there's times where we have definitely depleted it. You got to rebuild it. It happens. But it's there for that reason. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know down below. Hey, go build your banks. Go be productive, but do a little extra each day. If you can do 10, you can do 12. If you can do 15, you can do 20, right? So just keep building it up. I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.